You're American. Congratulations. Unfortunately, it's 1932. Your bank just collapsed. Your dad lost his job. Your dinner tonight is whatever your mom can turn into soup using one potato, half an onion, and pure desperation. And somehow this still isn't the worst time in American history to be alive. Today, we're counting down the absolute worst periods to be born as an American, from economic collapse, to war, to disease, to moments where waking up in the morning was honestly kind of an inconvenience. And trust me, by number 1, you're gonna wish you were born as literally anything else. Let's get into it. Number 5, the Great Depression. Ah yes, the 1930s, when the American dream temporarily became a group hallucination. It all started in 1929 when the stock market crashed harder than your sleep schedule after discovering short-form content. Banks failed, businesses collapsed, millions of Americans lost their jobs almost overnight. And when I say lost their jobs, I don't mean, dang, guess I'll update LinkedIn. I mean, guess we starve now. At its peak, unemployment hit around 25%. That means 1 out of every 4 Americans was out here free trialing homelessness. Entire families lived in tiny shacks made of scrap metal and sadness. People stood in bread lines for hours just to receive soup with the nutritional value of warm tap water. And if you were a farmer, oh buddy, you were about to unlock a bonus nightmare called the Dust Bowl. Massive dust storms swept across the Great Plains, turning farmland into apocalyptic deserts. Imagine opening your front door and getting hit by a cloud so thick it looked like Earth itself rage quit. Dust got into everything. Your lungs, your food, your house, your soul. Some storms were so large they literally blocked out the sun. Children coughed up dirt, crops died, animals suffocated. At one point, Americans were basically living inside a giant cinnamon challenge. And yet somehow, people survived, mostly through sheer stubbornness and an unhealthy amount of canned beans. Number 4, the Civil War. Imagine waking up one morning and discovering your country has decided to fight itself. Not metaphorically, not on Twitter, actual war. From 1861 to 1865, America tore itself apart in the bloodiest conflict in its history. Over 600,000 people died, which is especially horrifying when you remember the US population back then was way smaller. This wasn't just war, this was industrialized suffering. If you were a soldier, your odds were terrible, not just because of bullets. Disease killed more soldiers than combat did. Typhoid, dysentery, pneumonia, smallpox. Basically, if your immune system sneezed too aggressively, you were done. And military medicine at the time? Absolutely cursed. Doctors would amputate limbs at lightning speed without modern anesthesia, because apparently the medical strategy was remove first, ask questions never. Imagine hearing, good news, the surgery was successful, then looking down and realizing your leg has been deleted. And if you survived the battlefield, congratulations, now enjoy PTSD before anybody knew what PTSD was. Entire cities were destroyed, families split apart, brothers literally fought brothers. The country wasn't just divided politically, it was emotionally shattered. Honestly, if you saw a guy carrying a saw toward you in 1863, your survival instincts should have activated immediately. Number 3, 1918, the Spanish flu. You think 2020 was rough? Cute. The Spanish flu infected about 1/3 of the planet and killed tens of millions of people worldwide. And America got hit hard. Hospitals overflowed almost instantly. Doctors ran out of supplies. Bodies piled up faster than healthcare systems could handle. And remember, this was happening while World War I was still going on. Humanity really said, what if we combined global war with a pandemic for maximum emotional damage? Cities shut down, schools closed, people wore masks, public gatherings were banned. So basically, history hit copy-paste. But unlike today, there were no antibiotics, no ventilators, no modern ICU care. If you got seriously sick, your treatment options were basically rest, soup, prayer, and hoping your lungs continued participating in the group project. One of the creepiest parts? The flu killed healthy young adults at terrifying rates. Not just the elderly, not just children. Perfectly healthy people would wake up with symptoms and be dead days later. Some victims reportedly turned blue from lack of oxygen. Imagine walking through your neighborhood and hearing coughing from every house like America itself had developed tuberculosis. At certain points, mass graves became necessary because there simply weren't enough coffins. So yeah, suddenly your mild seasonal allergies don't seem so dramatic anymore. Number 2, Jamestown Colony. Oh, you thought early America was all freedom and opportunity? No, it was mostly starving British people eating leather. Jamestown was founded in 1607 as England's first permanent colony in North America, and almost immediately, everything went horribly wrong. The settlers arrived completely unprepared. Many were wealthy gentlemen who apparently believed survival skills were for poor people. Problem: the wilderness did not care. There wasn't enough food, the water was contaminated, disease spread constantly, and relations with local tribes became violent. Then came the winter of 1609, also known as the Starving Time. This period was so brutal that historians believe some colonists resorted to cannibalism just to survive. That's right, America's origin story briefly turned into a zombie apocalypse. Archaeologists have even found evidence confirming desperate settlers consumed human remains. Imagine being so hungry you start looking at your neighbor the same way people look at rotisserie chicken in Costco. Out of roughly 500 settlers, only around 60 survived. That's almost a 90% death rate. Honestly, those are horror movie numbers. And the craziest part? People kept coming. Because apparently Europeans saw one near-extinction event and thought, yeah, but maybe this time it'll work. Human optimism is genuinely terrifying. And finally, number 1, America during the Black Plague of smallpox. Specifically, if you were Native American after European contact. This was not just bad, this was civilization ending. When Europeans arrived in the Americas, they brought diseases the native population had never encountered before. Smallpox, measles, influenza. And because Native Americans had no immunity to these diseases, the results were catastrophic. Entire communities vanished. Some historians estimate up to 90% of indigenous populations in certain regions were wiped out over time. 90%. Imagine everyone you know, gone. Entire cultures collapsed before they even fully understood what was happening. Villages emptied, trade networks disappeared, generations of knowledge vanished forever. And the worst part? The diseases often spread faster than the colonists themselves, meaning some communities were being erased before they had ever even seen a European face. Think about how horrifying that is. One day people in your village start coughing, then fever, then blisters, then death, and nobody understands why. No antibiotics, no vaccines, no germ theory, just fear, pure helplessness. Imagine watching the world you've always known slowly disappear while having absolutely no idea what's causing it. No enemy army, no warning, no explanation, just invisible death moving from village to village. It remains one of the deadliest population collapses in human history. And yet, America survived, people survived, human beings survived, which honestly seems to be our weird little specialty as a species. No matter how many wars, plagues, famines, or catastrophes show up, some stubborn group of exhausted humans always manages to crawl through the ashes and keep going. And somehow, against ridiculous odds, one of those survivors eventually became your ancestor. So next time your Wi-Fi goes down for 6 minutes and you start contemplating societal collapse, just remember, your bloodline survived civil wars, pandemics, starvation, dust storms, and near-extinction events. You can probably survive a loading screen. Thanks for watching, and remember, history isn't just a story about dead people, it's a miracle you accidentally inherited. And if you liked our videos, request you to like and subscribe.